Welcome to the Ben and Walker Movie Show. I am your co-host, Ben Davis, joined by my other esteemed co-host, Walker Holt, and we're excited to have a conversation with you about one of our favorite things in the world, movies. If this is your first time being here with us, welcome. We are so glad to have you. And while you're here, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest content that we have for you guys. And if you enjoy your time here with us today, leave us a like, share us around, and of course, comment down below with your thoughts on today's show. This is our weekly show where we dive into some movie news that interest us. We talk about some things that we're watching and all that. So, Walker, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I've been sitting here when I was waiting for you to get started. I was on Instagram. I sent it to you. I was watching, those videos that are like, it'll be like, maybe like 5 pages, like swipes on Instagram, and they're each like a different scene of like iconic scenes in movies or whatever. This one
Yeah.
was theater reactions to things going on, and I just saw the first one was the I am inevitable and like the blank snap and like everyone laughing and then it turning to Iron Man and him having the glove or the stones, and it was just a bunch of scenes like that, and the theater just like erupted, like because when he blank snaps it, like the theater just kind of chuckles, and then it turns to Tony Stark and everyone's like yes, and then good.
Dude, I think I was the only one in the theater to go, no, when he had them all, because I knew what it meant. I was like, he gonna die.
Yeah, but there was just cool moments, and I'm rarely in the theater around my parts that has these types of energy, and I can see not liking it, but I'm jealous of
Really, Wilmington doesn't have that kind of energy.
I mean, not often. I mean, probably the most energy I saw. I mean, first watching this video, I was like getting chills watching it. The Captain America catching the hammer was one of them, and the theater erupted. There was some Dark Knight stuff. There was No Way Home stuff. The scene, God, I cried while I was just sitting here watching Andrew Garfield save Zendaya and like look at her in the eyes and like kind of like, and like the theater reaction added so much to it because like Zendaya falls and everyone's like, no,
There he is. There he is in all his glory, man.
yeah. Zendaya falls and everyone's like, no, in the theater, and then he's like diving after a similar like shot as the Amazing Spider-Man, and then Green Goblin hits it and everyone's like, no, and then it shows Andrew Garfield and everyone's like, yeah, and then he says it, and then he puts on an Oscar performance within 10 seconds after he saves her when he like looks at her in the eyes and like starts to break, and everyone in the theater like, oh my god, and I was like about to cry.
We can all agree, right, that all the Spider-Man that we've had in live action, whether it's Toby, Tom, Andrew, they're all phenomenal Spider-Man. They are wonderful. Andrew Garfield's the best, though. I think he's the best. He's the best, though. And I will say, speaking of No Way Home, I will never forget the second time I saw No Way Home in the theater. It was an afternoon showing, and it was a big crowd because I saw it opening night, and then I immediately went the next day. I somehow miraculously was able to get a ticket. It was a really bad seat, but when Tobey Maguire entered, I don't know how this happened. It was clearly planned, but a group of like maybe 12 people sung the chorus for Hero when he entered the room. And I was like, what is this? It was great, but I was like, oh my God, they had to be planning this. This is hilarious. And the theater was laughing. I mean, that's an iconic song. It's a great, I love that song.
That's funny.
But it's one of the wildest things that I've ever experienced in a theater.
That's one of the slides too, is both Andrew and Toby stepping through the portals. Yeah. And then there's like 3 from it. There's Daredevil was one of them too that they all erupted for when he's in the kitchen.
Yep.
And then one was Inception, with the movie ends with the top spinning. Like when the screen goes black after the top spinning, everyone in the theater's like, oh my God.
It wobbles, and it's not his totem. Might I add? Little detail in that movie. But listen, speaking of movies, let's break down some movie news, Walker. By the way, I should add, for those of you who don't know, I'm a Panthers fan. And despite us being 1 and what is it now, Walker? 1 and 12? 1 and 11? It's like 1 and 12.
I just remember the
It's
one.
It's bad. It's really bad. But you know what? I'm a diehard fan. And at the end of the day, I still believe in Bryce Young. But moving on. Let's get into some movie news. A little bit of a slow week this week. And I think it's probably going to be like this for the remainder of the year. You know, this is not really a busy time in terms of deals getting made and struck and all that stuff. But
busy time for releases.
A very busy time for
December is always so overwhelming. It's all like you always feel like you got to catch up. Like 2023 is almost over, and I still have 2023 movies to watch. It's like you're not going to catch up until the end of January. I mean, it's just too hard to like see them all.
It's like a time crunch, especially for people like us who live. I live in Rolla, Missouri, and you live in Wilmington. Like,
the limited release, because it's just the time that like the biggest Oscar buzz movies are dropping just for recency, and it's tough to see them all, especially if you're at like a restraint of where they're playing.
No, it's tough.
Maybe this will help.
maybe. A24 movies to stream exclusively on HBO. This is coming from Variety. Warner Brothers Discovery inked a multi-year U.S. output deal with A24, bringing the entertainment company's slate of films exclusively to HBO Max and Cinemax after their theatrical runs. A24's output agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery comes after an expiration of A24's deal earlier this year with Paramount Global Showtime, originally struck in 2019. Among films to be available under the new deal are Sofia Coppola's biopic Priscilla, starring Jacob Elordi as Elvis Presley and Kylie Spaney as Priscilla Presley. Sean Durkin's upcoming The Iron Claw, which I know you and I are both very excited for, with Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White as real-life Von Erich brothers who made history in the world of professional wrestling in the 1980s. And Christopher Borglis. That's how you say it. I'm horrible with names. I say that weekly. I butcher so many names, Walker. It's so bad.
I don't think you've gotten one wrong yet.
Anyway, his film Dream Scenario starring Nicolas Cage, which I missed out on seeing last week. Continuing our relationship with A24 to bring award-winning movies along with recent fan favorites to subscribers adds incredible value to HBO and Max value propositions, said Roy Spattleman, EVP of Content Acquisitions for Warner Brothers Discovery. The diverse range of stories that come from A24 pipeline make partnerships so impactful for our audience. Walker, despite me butchering names like I do weekly, does this excite you for the future of Max and A24? And if you weren't already a subscriber, would this push you over the edge to get it?
Yes, it excites me. I like A24. They're a pretty innovative, production company. They put out a lot of good stuff. They take some chances on some stuff. I'm not saying all of their attempts are hits, but they've got some great stuff, and they definitely have some interesting stuff. So yeah, and I like these partnerships. I like when they, where you can find a home. I like just the aspect of like helping like build a brand, like it being in one location, like makes it more of like a universe almost, or like a thing, which is kind of cool to me. This might be the wrong take. You might disagree with me here. I think if you know what A24 is, and you're interested in A24 movies, you already subscribe to Max. I mean, I think if you're just that type of person that has a clue what A24 is, you have what I consider the best subscription already. And I like everything Max has done, or not everything they've done, but I like I like the moves they've made. I like how they've grown. I like the team ups they've
I'm
had.
still listening, by the way. I'm just going to plug in my charger. Forgot it was out.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I like the moves they made. I like the content that they have. I like their library. HBO is obviously phenomenal. My biggest complaint about what Max has done has been dropping the HBO brand. I mean, I think that's their best. I think they should. Maybe that's when it was HBO Max. Now, like we're just going to be Max now because we added in, Discovery or whatever they've combined as. I just feel like HBO is a big time name.
HBO is a very big time name. It's been around for ages, and also it's synonymous with great
with
TV.
quality.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little weird that they got rid of it. I agree with you. I think if you know what A24 is, if you're plugged in, if you're like me and you, like that's going to be you already have Max. That's something you already got. It's not going to drive subscribers, but it will help keep subscribers because for people like me, for people like you, we don't get all of A24's movies. And, like you said, they have some good quality stuff, but they also have stuff that I think I fall on more of it's interesting. I don't necessarily think I would, go watch it all the time. Like those are not movies that I watch all the time. I think they fall into the category of more interesting than good.
I agree, and I
But
also. Oh, sorry.
they have some hits. They have some hits. And for people like us who don't live in areas where those movies typically go play, it's great for us because we know where it's going. We know where it's going to be at. And if it doesn't come to us theatrically in a place that we can go attend it in a theater, then we know where it's going to be. We don't have to sweat it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think A24 is a quality production company. I think they put out good stuff, and I think they'll continue to grow and put out good stuff. So I think indirectly over the long haul, yes, it might help grow subscribers because I mean they just will have more quality content. But I don't think the news that A24 is gonna push someone over the edge. I just think maybe the result of adding A24 to the collection will eventually add more subscribers due to just a plethora of good content. Do we know anything about what this looks like? Does this just mean like when they finally hit streaming, they're going to go to Max, or does that mean
Yeah. So
is there any
when
kind of
they,
like are we getting it soon?
no, I think as soon as it's done with their theatrical runs, that's where they'll go.
Yeah, I mean, like Priscilla's a good example of a movie that like I'm interested in seeing. I don't know if I'm going to find the time to see that in the theater or not.
No.
Like, there's just certain things that are not going to get. This isn't our full time job, so I mean, there's not. It's just not going to be. We're not going to be able to see everything. So
No, it's impossible. You'll go crazy.
Yeah, so it's nice to have a spot that you know where it's coming because I do a lot of Googling, like when is this coming to streaming or when is this coming to streaming for free? Because they do that thing. They'll come out in demand. I mean, I appreciate the watch this week from you, but they'll come out in demand and like it'll be like, you want to rent this one for $30? It's like I don't know. It's coming out. When is it coming out on just regular Netflix or whatever? Is that going to be?
No, what they do is rent it for 20, buy it for 29. It's like I might as well freaking buy it at this point. That's $10 extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's exciting. Guys, let us know in the comment section down below. Does this excite you for the future of Max? Moving on to our other story here. Daniel Craig and Charlize Theron team up for a heist thriller directed by Justin Lin. This coming to us from Variety. Apple Studios has emerged victorious in a bidding war for Two for the Money, a hot package that has attached Oscar winner Charlize Theron and X007 Daniel Craig. Justin Lin, who oversaw several Fast and the Furious films and also Star Trek, one Star Trek film, is set to direct and produce. Love and larceny is in the air. Theron and Craig will play career thieves whose relationship spans the course of three big jobs. The film is based on the original idea by Lin and Dan Mazu, it's Fast X, and will be developed and produced by Lin's Perfect Storm Entertainment, Theron's Denver, and Delia Banner, and Jeff Kirschbaum, and Joe Roth's RK Films, with Apple Studios serving as the studio Jesus Christ, Walker. It's bad. It's bad. I need to like pre-read these and
Yeah.
search name
Well,
pronunciation
some of the
before I
names
do
are
it. This is
tough.
getting bad.
Some of the names are tough.
Tongue
Yeah, I mean,
tied. God,
I mean,
apologize.
I'm excited. I'm excited for who's attached. You know, I mean, Daniel Craig. I'm trying to think if there's anything. I mean, I haven't seen all his work, but I'm trying to think if there's anything I don't enjoy with him in it. No,
He's
I
great, man.
mean, yeah, I mean, especially enjoy him. I mean, I have thoughts about No Time to Die. That movie's good. It just pissed me off. That ending pissed me off.
I
Uh,
love No Time to
I,
Die. She
I, I,
has your eyes. I know.
I
God,
mean, it was well done. It just like I just wish it was done differently. But yeah, I mean, again, we've
it
talked
was
about
well done. I
Apple.
just wish it was done differently.
Apple. I talk about them every week. It seems like they've earned a seat at the table where I'm gonna pay attention. They seem to
Yeah.
be growing, and again, like A24, not everything's good, not everything hits. I mean, they don't. I mean, and nobody's gonna be like that. Nobody's gonna just have a 1,000
Unless
batting
you're Pixar.
average. But yeah, sure, that's great. Yeah, great example. But also, I mean,
And
no one with a
even then,
library
they
greater
don't.
than 25 is gonna hit.
Yeah.
That's tough. But sure, sounds good. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Lin is a director I really like. I like him a lot. He directed the best Fast and Furious movies outside of Fast and Furious 9, which, was less fun for me. But, I'm not a big fan of Tokyo Drift, the third one, but I love 4, 5, 6. Those three are really, really good. And I loved his Star Trek film. Star Trek, I think it was the last one was Beyond. Star Trek Beyond. I really dug that one. I think he's a really good action director. Daniel Craig is someone like you said, like most of the stuff that I see him in, I really like him. Charlize Theron is someone who I also really, really like a lot. She's an Oscar-winning actress. I love her in action. She has such like great like presence with action and action
Mhm.
scenes and stuff like that I'm sure that this will have. It's a heist thriller, so I'm sure it'll be there. She's already starred in another heist movie that is very similar to Fast Five with the Italian Job. She was
Yep.
really good in that. It's back in 2003. Yeah, sign me up. I'm on board. Could be
Heist
fun.
movies also always hit. I mean, heist movies are great.
Yeah, that's a fun genre. Guys, let us know. Let us know in the comment section down below. Is this something that you would be interested in watching? Moving on to our next story, Christian Bale and Bradley Cooper to star in a spy thriller. This coming from Variety. Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale, who previously braved the late 70s hairstyles and fashion in service of David O. Russell's vision, will reunite more than a decade later. Oh, that's true. The movie's like 10 years old now. The two actors are in talks to team up again in The Best of Enemies from Atlas Entertainment to Entertainment's Charles Roven. There's a connection there too. Roven produced American Hustle. Eric Warner Singer, who wrote American Hustle, will pen the script. It's an adaptation of The Best of Enemies, the last great spy story of the Cold War, which was written by Eric Denzenhall and Gus Russo. Several studios and distributors are circling the hot package, which should spark one of those good old fashioned bidding wars that get Hollywood so hot and bothered. Madison Reacherer and Ryan Sanak will be part of the production team on behalf of Atlas. Best of Enemies follows a CIA agent and a KGB agent who develop a bond during the waning days of the Cold War, with two men trying to convince each other to portray their country. Is this something that teams you up or teams you up? Are you excited for this team up?
Yeah. I mean, I love Christian Bale. I love Bradley Cooper. Another thing, did you like American Hustle?
I'm lukewarm on it.
Me too. So that's my only thing pushing me away. I mean,
They
like
were both really good in it.
I need to rewatch. I haven't seen it. I think I've only seen it once, and I remember being in a. It was a different person when I saw it. I mean, it was 10 years ago. I remember being like it. It was fine, but I wanted it to be so good, and it just like wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And but maybe I need to rewatch it and give it another shot. But yeah, regardless, they're both hugely talented people, and Bradley Cooper in particular has had a hell of a glow up in the last 10 years too. I mean, I mean, I just think 2023 or 2024, Bradley Cooper is a different actor than 2013 one was. I mean, he has
He was
grown. He's like,
still like he was coming off of an Oscar nomination in 2013 for Silver Linings Playbook,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
I think he got nominated in 20. I think it was like 3 years in a row. It was like Silver Linings Playbook, This American Hustle. He got nominated, and
yeah. American
then
Sniper.
2014 American Sniper. Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, he's just. I mean, I just think he's matured a lot, and he's really continued to grow in the craft since then. So I mean, and Christian Bale always shows up. So I yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I can't imagine not being into that.
yeah. This is something that excites me. I love stories like this. Two people coming from two different parts of the world, becoming friends, and trying to like show each other the other side. I like that. Always, I'm a sucker for stories like that. These are two incredible actors, so sounds good.
Yeah. Cool title too.
Yeah, I like that. Best of Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I like that title. Let us know in the comment section down below. Is this something that you would be interested in? Would you like to see a team up between Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale? Let us know. And the last news story we'll get to is Sean Gunn cast as Maxwell Lord in DCU. This coming from Deadline. We understand that Guardians of the Galaxy alum Sean Gunn is set to take on the role of evil businessman Maxwell Lord in the new DC universe that's being overseen by James Gunn and Peter Safran. The role was previously played by Pedro Pascal in the 2020 movie Wonder Woman 1984. It is not clear if Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord will make a cameo in Brother Gunn's Superman Legacy, which will go into production next year. The character, as I hear it, will be referenced in the background of Legacy, but will appear in future DC projects. It seems that, and this is just my words, it seems that Superman Legacy is going to be a jump off point for a lot of the DC world.
Hmm.
A similar motif will occur in other characters in the. I didn't even read this. A similar motif will occur for other characters in the new DC universe, the first phase, which is named Gods and Monsters, Chapter 1. Stay tuned. The article went on to add, and this is kind of a backstory to Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord debuted in 1987's Justice League number 1, created by Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMastis, and Kevin McGuire, initially conceived as an amigo to the Justice League and a key to the formation of Justice League International. He ultimately became a foe to the org and to Wonder Woman. While a wealthy businessman, during the Invasion crossover, he's gifted with superpowers when a gene bomb is exploded by alien invaders. The detonation triggers Lord's latent metagene, granting him the ability to control the minds of others through, though, with great challenges. How are you feeling about this casting?
I like Sean Gunn in the roles that he's been cast in. You know, like I like him as the for what he does in Guardians. I think he's a fun bit character. I mean, how big is this guy going to be?
Like I said, in the movie, or it says in the movie, he's not going to be that big of a deal. He'll probably be spoken of. You might see a clip of him on TV, but he's not going to have like a big part. going forward, or going in that movie, but going forward, he will be part of the universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not super familiar with Sean Gunn's work outside of like the bit characters in his brother's movies, but he's likable. Sure, give him a shot. I think it'd be fun. I mean, I uh I don't know. It's not something I hear that I'm like, oh, that's gonna be great. But I mean, might work.
So, what gives me, and I had to look it up because I forgot it last time, the name of it, the Terminal List. He plays a bit role in that. And I see
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of Maxwell Lord in that. That was the first thing that came to mind because you see him playing these kind of quirky, funny, lovable kind of characters. And Maxwell Lord is kind of a villain, but he's also not. He's been a hero, like it says in the comic books. Someone that helps him out, but he's also been a foe. Pedro Pascal was, I thought, really good as Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman 1984, a movie that I'm generally mixed on,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see it. I can see him doing a good job. Listen, I know people love to get James Gunn or give James Gunn crap because it's like, oh, all he does is cast his buddies in roles, and it's like, yeah, but a lot of directors do that, man.
Yeah, I don't have a
And
problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. I also don't
yeah,
have a problem with casting your brother. I don't have a problem with casting. I'm not familiar enough with his work, and it sounds like this in going forward in the universe might be a big role. And I don't know if there's been much that I've seen that instills confidence for him taking on a big like anger role in the universe going forward. So I'm just not. I don't know. We'll see.
it'd be like a supporting character kind of role, but like I'm a fan of it. I like the direction it seems that Superman Legacy is going with, which is it's going to be a story about Superman, but it's dropping you in the middle of this universe, and you're going to meet all these type of people, all these different characters. Instead of, well, we're going to give you a movie, and then we'll set up the next movie with a different hero, next movie with a different hero, next movie with a different hero, team up. It's not really following that formula. It feels like it's going to be following more of, again, I compared something more like Star Wars,
Yeah.
where it's
Okay.
going to introduce you to a bunch of characters and drop you in the middle of the universe, but it's not going to be the exact same formula as the MCU. I kind of like that.
Cool. Yeah. Bring it on. I mean, this movie's shaping up. I'm excited for it. We got some
I
trailers
am
to
too.
watch. We got a new Amazon Prime Video series coming out, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Are you a fan of the movie?
I really like the movie, man. I had a lot of fun with it. It was one of those movies that it come out in 2005. If I remember correctly, I got it that Christmas. Like I got that and The Island for Christmas, and that was one of those movies that I watched an awful lot of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really liked it.
this one. I mean, it's created by and starring Donald Glover. I like the movie too. I think it's a lot of fun. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I remember, and I think I saw it a little late. Like I think I never saw it until 2 years after it came out or something. And
Saw it
then
at the Regal Six, man.
oh, did you? Nice.
Hmm.
Oh man, good times. I don't think I saw it until about 2 years after it came out, but I remember being like, "Wow, this was a lot of fun." The I mean, it's created by and starring Donald Glover. That is exciting. I don't exactly know how big a roles these people are playing, but John Turturro and Paul Dano are involved with it. They're both
The cast in this
great.
is pretty good.
Yeah. I, I didn't love the trailer. So but that's always so weird to me how sometimes we're about to talk about it more in a minute. I guess I put too much weight on people's involvement and stuff like that where I sometimes when I hear people are attached to it, directing it, acting in it, producing it, whatever, I put a lot of weight into that just because of their resumes, and I get really excited. And sometimes I cannot give things, the benefit of the doubt because of who's not attached to it. and early, and that's a tough world to live in, but it's the way every job works. It's the way everything works in the world, and you have a proven track record. I expect it to be better than someone who doesn't have a proven track record, but luckily we get the chance to see them both and see. Oh, we'll talk about the other thing I'm talking about, but so I didn't exactly love the way the trailer was cut. I didn't think it was it didn't like entice me all that much. But again, I trust the people that are involved with it, and I think they'll put out something good. And Amazon Prime, now that I've seen The Boys, got a little more trust in them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like it has me interested because love Donald Glover. So that's the main selling point for me.
Lando Calrissian himself.
Yeah.
Movie called Mayhem. Let me see. Does this have a release date yet? I'm not sure if it does or not.
I'm not sure. I didn't look that part up, but
I don't think it does. Starring
had a bunch
Nassim
of reviews in the
Lives.
trailer already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously looks like it's riding on this heavy fight choreography, right? Like this John Wick
It looks
esque.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it definitely. I mean, they're showing off great fight choreography, and you don't want to. I mean, John Wick had Keanu Reeves in it, but at the same time, John Wick, when that trailer launched, I don't think people were like, "This looks great." I think it looks like okay, this looks like any given.
They kill his
Just
dog, and this is what starts it off. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it just looks like oh, Keanu Reeves is doing these types of movies now, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, it's awesome.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think the trailer. Have you ever seen the movie The Raid
No,
or The Raid 2?
I haven't.
That's what this looks like to me. It looks something very, very similar in style, the way the camera is moving and everything, to The Raid. And that excites me as someone who loves those movies. Yeah, that excites me. That's what got me excited. That's why I put it in the show notes, is because I think it looks really good. But like I haven't heard about when it's coming out. I didn't see when it was coming out. I didn't see if it had a release date or not. I don't know anyone who's in this movie, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it either. I mean, as far as people attached to it, but yeah, it does. It looks like good choreography in the trailer. Hopefully, there's a lot more of it in the movie, and it's not they didn't give us the goods in the trailer just to sell it. I hope that yeah. We got another one. Good Grief. This looks like it's a Dan Levy project. Looks very good to me.
I agree.
Looks
It
heartfelt.
looks very like emotional and heartfelt and like a tearjerker. And yeah, it looks really good.
I also trust Dan Levy. Dan Levy just has good taste, I think. I'm a big Schitt's Creek guy. I think it's hilarious. I think
That
he's
show's really
fantastic
funny.
in it. And just him, getting to kind of spearhead a project excites me. And it looks like it might be a passion project, but and it also looks like the material is deep that it's talking about, which is
It also has Luke Evans.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep. It. I mean, I'll definitely be watching this. I mean, it looks like it'll probably fill a otherwise or a typically slow January with maybe
Yeah.
something with a good punch in it. I hope so.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm pretty excited to talk about this one. ISS, the International Space Station. This is kind of the juxtaposition to the Donald Glover, the Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't know. I mean, Ariana DeBose is in it. Who else is in it? I don't know a lot of the folks attached to this movie.
Yeah,
The
Ariana DeBose is like
trailer,
the only one.
the trailer really got me. I was like, this looks sick.
Yeah,
I think the concept
nuclear
looks
war
cool.
is going on Earth, and it's Russians versus Americans in the International Space Station. Yeah,
Yeah, I think the concept looks very cool, and the visuals look cool. And I don't know if it's gonna. It's hard to tell which route they're gonna take with it. Whether this is gonna be this is coming out Sorry, the Daniel Levy one, Good Grief, is coming out January 5th on Netflix. This I.S.S. is coming out January 19th. I think in theaters.
Oh, some good things to look forward to.
Yeah.
In January.
So I don't know if they're going to take this like claustrophobic, type of approach with it, like inside the International Space Station, or if it's going to be a bigger picture than that, and with space and something. But it looks cool, and the concept's great. It's like just the opposite of something where I don't know anybody attached to it, but the trailer worked for me, and
Yeah,
I'm sold on it.
I agree. I was watching. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I did, because I saw like a clip of it, and I was like, I'm not that interested. But then I actually sat down and watched the full trailer. I was like, I was so wrong. This looks really awesome. Great hook. Great hook.
Yeah, so we got some good stuff to look forward in January, hopefully. What have you been watching? I know we went and saw a couple things that we both saw. Before we get to that, what have you been watching?
So before we get to like the new stuff that we've watched, I only really watched 2 new things this week. This week was pretty busy, pretty hectic. So I mostly just watched Christmas movies. I
Yeah.
watched Home Alone, which is, the one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid. It's like the classic Christmas movie that, aside from Jingle All the Way, it was always the one that during like my family tradition of watching a Christmas movie on Christmas Eve, this was always the one that I would always want to watch and I always recommend. This movie's so freaking funny. It's still, my sides hurt from laughter watching it. So freaking funny.
It's great.
Even Zoe laughed at some of the stuff she saw, the physical humor.
Oh, that's good. That seems
Yeah.
like a good early one that you can get laughing at.
Yeah. She got some good chuckles. Speaking of Jingle All the Way, watch that one. That's a classic. I've covered that
The
movie on the
cookie down.
podcast before. Put that cookie down now. Who told you could have some of my cookies?
Do you hear? We talked about Jingle All the Way very briefly during our Instagram post that everyone will see shortly. Do your I got Johnny his impression, because that got cut from the post, but it's worth the world hearing because it's great.
I got Johnny a Turbo Man months ago. Nestled safely under our tree.
Yeah, it was so funny.
I'm gonna let the reindeer down by Lake Minnetonka. Nature's kind will take him in as one of their own. He's just such a douchebag. It's such a good performance. Yeah, this movie's absurd. Like this movie's it's I cannot in all good consciousness tell you that Jingle All the Way is a good movie, because once you get introduced to the Santa clan, the movie just completely jumps off the rails. But as a kid, I absolutely loved watching this movie, and as an adult, I am nostalgic about it, and it makes me laugh. So, and
Our
then
house is too.
lastly, kind of on a sad note, but I don't like to think of it as a sad thing, even though it is sad. Uh, I watched Terminator 2 in honor of my dad. That was always the movie that I used to watch with him. It was our favorite Arnold movie. Today that we're recording this marks the 3-year anniversary of him passing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch an Arnold movie for my old man. So I watched Terminator 2, and that was always my favorite movie that reminded me of my dad. So watch that today in honor of my old man.
That's awesome. It's good. It's a great one. It's a good
Yeah, man.
movie.
The
Yeah,
thumbs up always gets me.
That's a good couple movies. I have not seen Home Alone or Jingle All the Way. So I took the week off of work, and I just had vacation days to burn, try to get some stuff done. Watched a ton of stuff, and I'm just gonna burn through a couple of them real quick. I'm gonna start Christmas movies. I've been watching a lot of Christmas movies too.
It's that time of year, man.
Yeah, and I've got, like per usual, I'm sucking the fun out of it. I created a list on my phone. I sectioned them off into like what I consider the A list, or my wife and I consider the A listers. The top tier Christmas movies that like can't be missed type ones, and
Yeah.
then I haven't seen them in a while. I've never seen them. wouldn't mind catching them, because what we like to do is we like to save the A-listers for like the week of Christmas, like with the family when they come into town. That's the Christmas Vacations, the Home Alones, the Jingle All the Ways, the Santa Claus. You'll see our draft. But you reminded me of The Night Before. I saw that like when it first came out, and I remember thinking it was good. It was funny. It's so funny, dude.
It's
It bumped into
freaking
our A-lister
hilarious, dude.
list. It is. It's hilarious. I mean, it's almost a joke per minute, and almost all of it lands for me. I mean, it's very, very funny.
Seth
I
Rogen is like unstoppable in that movie.
he's so fun. I mean, if you have any like, if you find like that the drug humor funny at all, you're gonna love. I mean, it is so funny. I mean, he nails it from beginning in, and they're all great in it. But he's pretty. I give it 83 out of 100. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a must see. It made its way into our A-listers. We did watch the other thing I watched. Oh, I watched Scrooged. I had never seen Scrooged. I didn't
What'd
like
you
it.
think? Yeah,
I
I
didn't
don't
like
like
it.
that movie either.
It's over the top. Bill Murray, while I do like Bill Murray and think he's fantastic in a lot of stuff, his performance in this didn't do it for me, or at least the way it was written for him didn't do it for me. It was over the top. It was just it came on recommendation from another podcast I was listening to. They were talking about Christmas movies, and he said, what did he say? He was like, it still holds up. It does not hold up. It's not very good. I mean, I gave it is slow. I mean, it was. I didn't even write a review on it, but it was somewhere around 60, maybe lower.
It's like
Probably
47
lower.
for me.
Yeah, probably lower. I didn't like it. Watched Violent Night last night. I like that. It was good. I haven't reviewed that either yet.
Really
Just
good.
figured to throw it out there before Christmas is over. Jess liked it a lot. I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about the fight Mayhem. Just heavy fight choreography movies. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Not what I expected. I didn't realize. I actually expected it to be. I haven't seen this yet, but more what I think Silent Night's going to be. The Joel Kinnaman movie.
Yeah.
That was more of what I more grounded version of it, and it wasn't that, but it was fun. It was a good movie. It was worth watching, worth having on. Watched Lightyear real quick. Didn't whatever. Gave it 74 out of 100. It's okay.
That's a fair score.
Then to get into the real movies, I watched The Handmaiden. This came out in 2016. It's a Japanese and Korean movie. It's fairly long, over 2.5 hours. Tough watch to like get in the mood for. Now it's great. I really, really liked the movie. Have you seen it?
I have not, but I knew what it was when you told me you were going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's the same director as Old Boy, and
So
more recently,
really great movie,
Decision
but
to
messed
Leave.
up.
Yeah, and then more recently, Decision to Leave, which I have not seen yet, but it's one of the ones on my list, the infamous list. So he's got a lot of some hits out there. It was very good. I mean, you obviously have to be in a position where you're ready to watch a 2-hour, 40-minute Japanese and Korean dub or subtitled movie. But it has a slow start, but getting into the second and third act as it unfolds, it's a crazy ride, twists and turns all over the place. Good original screenplay, a lot of fun. Gave it 91 out of 100. Really liked it. Finally watched Tetris. I'm kind of sprinkling in these movies on my list and these movies to like knock out, the 2023. Did it come out in 2023? Yeah, it did.
Tetris. It came out in like March, I think.
It was a fun watch. There's a lot of creative stylization with it. I loved. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I really, really like that movie quite a bit.
I loved the car chase at the end. How it was bouncing back and forth between like video game and regular, and I liked all the video game stylization with it. Taron Egerton's really great in it. The script wasn't quite my favorite, but I consider the movie like a high go see it. 77 out of 100. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I think maybe the script and the first act felt a little clunky to me, and the script wasn't like The dialogue I didn't love as much, but Taron Egerton was so great. The stylization was great, and it was fun watch. I think it maybe it kind of got hurt because I just watched Blackberry and like it was on that on brand type of movie, and I mean they're not the same movie. I don't want to compare them, but that was so good to me that it kind of
they're two very different things.
I know. Watched Dumb Money finally. That made it. That's on rent now.
How was okay? So I've been really looking forward to it. I have not watched it yet. It is on me and Carly's watch list because this is one that she wants to watch as well. How is it?
It's pretty good. It's a fun watch. It's kind of very similar to Tetris in terms of my feelings on it. Now, I mean, they're different. It's I'm very familiar with this sequence of events that happened. This GameStop short squeeze and things like that. I followed it quite closely when it happened. I lost money in it when it happened. I tried to participate and like pay attention to it. So there was a lot of nostalgic, I guess, what you say. I mean, it's hard to say nostalgic for a couple years ago, but a lot of pointing at the screen and chuckling and laughing, and like there's things that like I remember because it wasn't too long ago. There it almost like lends it a hand. Because I mean, I think the argument can be made that it's so soon afterwards that it's like an awkward amount of time has passed to like make a movie on it. But that almost helps it because I remember so vividly some of these like news interviews and interrogations and questionings and on the stand and things like that. That a lot of things really like were callbacks to it. Some of the script was kind of corny, I thought, and a little too try hard. It kind of left it feeling a little half baked, like they just kind of felt like they needed to get this thing out and just throw a couple cheap quips in. Well, some of them worked for me, some of them just didn't. But I give it 74 out of 100. I enjoyed it.
Still gonna check it out though.
Yeah, you should. Saw May December on your recommendation.
Yes. What'd you think? Did you like it? Love it?
Yeah,
dislike it?
It was. No, I liked it a lot. I really good film. It required 3 very challenging performances, and I believe all 3 delivered.
Yeah.
I mean, all 3 of these people are in tough spots to be able to. And it reminded me of it when you talked about Licorice Pizza, like that. That's a different movie, a different interpretation, a different direction, and things like that. But it just reminded me. It's a tough role to nail and a lot of nuance with it from every angle, and I think they showed up and they killed it. It's also got kind of a unique style to it. You know, it not exactly, but like we pointed this out.
It's not a movie that I would like watch over again and again. Like it's not like I've seen it once, and the subject matter is difficult, but like it's got like a melodramatic quality to it with like the score and everything.
Yeah, it's got a unique score and it's shot in a unique way. It almost comes off not exactly like. I mean, is it old school or like it's like a TV movie feel to it almost like there's a scene where
movie.
like, yeah, kind of like almost cheesy, but done almost in this like wink way. I don't exactly know. I mean, it's well shot and it's pretty to look at, but it's kind of like when we watched The Conjuring, how we noted how it looked kind of 60s, 70s esque and like the different things. There's almost like a bit of that in it almost. It's hard to exactly nail. But I enjoyed it. They tackled a really tough subject, a really tough story, and I think they found, Natalie Portman's words. I think they found something true when they filmed it. I think it was worth seeing. I gave it it's a must see. I gave it 89 out of 100. Tough movie to recommend. I mean, like I was at a party the other night.
It's a tough recommend.
Yeah, I was at a party the other night, and people are starting to see some of the posts and stuff we're putting on Instagram. So they're all like being like, "So what movies do I need to watch? What do I need to watch?
Yeah.
You're the movie guy." And it's like, I mean, like that's.
That. Yeah, it's all, like, but I'm not being like fascist is what I say. I'm being honest. Like,
yeah,
I love it.
But sometimes it just puts you in a spot where I feel like I have to overthink like what I think someone else is gonna like, because like May December, I'm trying to think of the person I recommend May December to. In my life, it's Ben.
It's a tough.
And then I'm trying to think who's after Ben. It's just a tough like.
You
Unless you're
know, the
like, why are
perfect
you watching
person
it?
to watch May December would be Skip Spencer. I think
You
he would love
think?
it. I think he would love it.
You think?
No,
Maybe
not,
I'll let him.
not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
It's like you watch it. I mean, like it's interesting when like the reason you're recommending a movie is because of like how well done it is. Because like so many people just don't give a shit. You know, they don't want to. They just want it to like work. You know what I mean? They don't need to know like, oh man, I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's shot so uniquely and it's so, and they're like, I don't give a shit. It's just, is it cool? Is it good? You know, like it's tough to like. Sometimes it's
It depends on the
hard to.
person. Usually, like I try to get a really good read on somebody, and like depending on how they're coming across, I will recommend a certain movie. But that one, that's hard. Like I don't know really many people offhand that I would tell to watch that too. Maybe my brother-in-law John, and maybe like Dickens, former guest of the show, because they
Mhm.
like that kind of movie. But it's kind of it, you know.
Well, speaking of, the last one I'll talk about right now.
I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one, man.
Saltburn.
Okay, hit me with it.
Saltburn's going to be a tough movie to recommend. I don't know who I would recommend it to.
Who doesn't
I
love
think,
nude dance scenes, man?
yeah, it's I just don't know what, and I don't the reception on it seems pretty mixed in terms. I mean, I think it's overall like people think it's maybe well done, but it's people think the story might not be very cohesive and it's trying to do too many things. I honestly, even you, I don't know if I can think of one person in my life that I would recommend it to and think they're gonna like it. I don't know if you're gonna like it or not. I don't know. It's gonna be
I like
it's weird.
Emerald Fennell's last movie, Promising
Yeah,
Young
I did
Woman, was
too.
amazing.
Promising Woman, I did too. I thought it was very good. I think she's talented. I think okay. That said, 98 out of 100, favorite movie of the year, one of my favorite movies ever. I thought it was phenomenal. I
Okay, that's
loved it.
definitely on brand for you, though.
I loved it. But getting out of it, like people, it's like I can't even share that with people almost because like it's like
You could share
no
it with
one.
people.
I know it's, but no, I know Jess is gonna hate it. Spencer's gonna hate it. I don't know how you're gonna feel about it. I could see you not like it's, and I don't exactly know what I'm basing that on. I think I'm just kind of nervous about it, and I may be a little recency bias here. I may need to tone it down, see it again, chill out. I thought it was so interesting and shot. It's weird. It's devilishly weird.
So
Barry
you liked
Keoghan.
it. You liked it better than Across the Spider Verse, Oppenheimer, Barbie. I know those are very high for you.
This one's my favorite of the year. Yeah, it's. I mean, and it may be a little recency on me. I mean, I'm talking. This was one of my. And I and I may need to tone it down a notch. I may need to back off and think it through a little
This
better.
is how
But
you
when I
feel,
was
man.
sitting
Let
down,
it flow.
but I've only seen it once, and I'm it's a bold statement to make without like really solidifying it. Barry Keoghan is awesome. Rosamund Pike is awesome. Jacob Elordi is great. All the performances are good. It's got the same guy from C and from Gran Turismo. I don't know. His name's like a name that's tough to pronounce.
I know who you're
Mako.
talking about.
It's weird as hell. You spend a lot of the movie kind of wondering what's going on. I mean, you kind of spend the movie like where like certain parts of it were like he would do things, this character would do things where I'd be like, that feels like like that feels like why would he do that? That's like is that just being weird for the sake of being weird? And it just ends up working. Like it starts to come together. You know, like it just takes a minute. I think a lot of people are gonna hate it though. It's weird as hell. And it's kind of gross in
Okay.
parts. It's very
Look,
graphic. Sometimes it's a little overindulgent in how graphic it is. Like it just seems like it's being weird for the sake
graphic.
of
Like,
being
is it
weird.
violent?
No. It's just
A lot of nudity.
yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of. I mean, there's plenty of nudity. It's hard to explain. I mean, there's it's graphic. I mean, there's just very detailed sex scenes. Uh, there's very detailed sex scenes. I'm not gonna. I'll
Yeah, you
you'll
don't
have to
have
see it.
to.
You'll have to see
We
it.
don't want to get demonetized, but like, I like.
It's no, it's not violent, and it's not. But there's some might call it gross. Some might. I don't know. It's weird as
The
hell.
thing is like I like weird stuff like that as long as it makes sense by the time we arrive at a conclusion.
I
I'm
hope
all
you like
for
it.
it.
I hope you do. But I certainly
I do
understand
too.
not liking it.
I was really into the trailers for it. I like the actors attached and actresses in it. I think the director is fantastic. She's an Oscar winner. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm looking forward to it. The only reason I say like the whole nudity thing is because I hear about I've heard about like the dancing naked bit.
there's a dancing. Yeah, I mean that the dancing naked bit is
It's probably a much ado
I.
about nothing, right? It's not that big a deal.
It's dumb. It's almost pointless to the movie.
Okay.
I don't. It's. I don't want to say it's one of my least favorite parts because then it would just come off like. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, it's just part of the. It's basically just kind of a little run around the house dancing naked type thing. It just doesn't mean much about it, and it's hard to. It's a
Yeah.
very. I don't want to give anything away type of thing. There's just some like there, I mean, there's just graphic stuff, and you'll see what I mean. And like, there's gonna be stuff that like you, I don't know, maybe I don't know if you're gonna want to sit next to your parents during this one. I know we talked about Wolf of Wall Street. It's I don't know. A lot of people are gonna hate it though. A lot of people are gonna think I'm nuts. I think a lot of people think there's a bunch of different stories it's trying to tell, and they don't like work together because it's like it's kind of gets confused on what it is. I personally think it somehow brings those things together in a great way. But I certainly I guess I see the argument. Otherwise,
Well, I look
it's
forward
really hard to talk
to
about without you saying
I,
it.
I look forward to seeing it at some point. It's not playing anywhere near me,
Yeah.
but when I see it, inevitably, before we get to the point to where we make our top 10 list, I will have seen it.
I'll definitely need to see it again, but I'm excited to talk about it too in a little more depth. But that's all I watched on my own. I did we we both have seen the holdovers now, right?
Yes.
Very excited. What you think?
So like this is one of those movies. I think I saw the trailer for it in the theater, and I really like the style behind the trailer. It looked like something that was shot in the 1970s, 1960s, something like The Graduate, like the way it
Yeah.
was framed, the way that it looked. I really like that. So in a way, I was nostalgic because that is a form of nostalgia, cinema from a different era, especially for a lot of film nerds. That is nostalgia, and this movie definitely capitalized on that quite a bit, at least in the trailer. So I really like that affect that it had. As far as the movie goes, I loved this movie, Walker. I absolutely loved it. I know Alexander Payne, the director, has said that this is not he hates it when people say this is like a cozy movie. But it kind of
Hmm.
is. There was something about how like it made it feel like a warm like a it just felt like a warm blanket watching
Hmm.
this movie and just letting it like warm me on like a very cold January afternoon while the snow was falling down outside. Yeah, that's how this movie made me feel. And it's a sad movie, but it's a
Hmm.
happy kind of sad by the time you get to it. And look, I'll go ahead and say, like any movie I think that you and I have seen, we haven't talked about this, but any movie that we have seen that we're going to talk about together on this, I think it's probably important. Let's just go ahead and dive into it and talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the conclusion of this movie, you know, it is a movie that it's sad because a man loses his job, but it's hopeful because you know that he didn't like it there. He was miserable there. And he now gets an opportunity to do something that he maybe didn't have an opportunity beforehand to try. And, Dominic Sessa, this is his first movie, is incredible in this. He is so, so good. And he has so much range from being a smart ass student to being, this troubled kid to then being this just emotionally vulnerable teenager that just wants his family to be together again and misses his father who had a mental break. And he just wants his family to be complete. And that's kind of what this movie is about. And then you not even getting into the Divine Joy Randolph's character who's lost her son and what she's going in Vietnam and what she's going through. This movie is about it's very character based. And it's about these three people, lonely people who don't really have that much in common, all of a sudden finding a bond amongst each other through their pain and through everything that they've been through. And slowly but surely you realize, Paul Giamatti, the character who he plays, Mr. Hummon, and Agnes,
Angus.
Angus.
Angus Tully.
Yeah. They take the same depression medication. And how it's small little detailed moments like that. This movie doesn't beat you over the head with it. You just see it. And I love movies like that. And they find common ground with each other to realize we're not that different. And I just loved it, man. I loved it. I loved it. There was moments in this, the moment where uh, Mr. Hummon takes Agus to see his father. That scene where he's like, "Yeah, I'll take you to go see the gravestone," and then you realize it was a lie.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to tell him the full truth. Completely got me. Like I was sitting in the chair sobbing. I was like, "This is heartbreaking for this young boy." It's heartbreaking, but again, the way the movie ends, where Dominic Sessa gets one more opportunity at this school so he doesn't have to be shipped off. And Paul Giamatti gets that opportunity that he felt like he got robbed of him, essentially. It's such a good movie, man. I've talked about it enough. I want to get your thoughts on it. Are you feeling as strongly as I am? Because this is one of my favorite movies of the year. It's going to rank in my top 5. I don't think anything will unset it, at least in my top 5. I don't want to say if it'll be number 1 yet, but it's in the top 5. It's a wonderful movie. Reminded me a lot of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in terms of the theme being about empathy.
Huh. Yeah. It I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was directed beautifully. I mean, I love the stylization. I mean, obviously the cool touches of the like the grainy film and the like the MPAA rating and stuff like that. I mean, that was super cool. I the movie it felt like I don't even know how to. It felt like an underdog story, and we weren't sure who the underdog. The underdog kept kind of changing throughout the movie. You know what I mean? Like we started with one person, and then the more we learned about these people, now you're like, no, this person might be the underdog. And Paul Giamatti's just so good.
He's so good in this. This is probably his best performance. He's
Yeah,
got a lot
yeah.
of
I mean,
bullets.
and he's in a show I watch called Billions, and I think he's fantastic in that. And so I'm pretty dialed in to Paul Giamatti, and this was I think this is his best. I mean, he's such a complicated character and a sad character, and I echo everything you said. I think everything you said is spot on. I'll even add that, like at the end of the movie, it's sad that he lost his job, but it's also it's happy that he gets to go and do something else, but it's also happy that he's already done something he would not have done before. Like
beforehand. Yeah.
he's already grown, and I think he knows he's grown, and I think Angus Tully has changed him, and maybe he's returned the favor and changed
Mr.
Angus Tully.
Tully?
So he's made a difference in this kid's life, and this kid has made a difference in his life over this Christmas break. It's just so obvious. I mean, Paul Giamatti's awesome. Divine Joy Randolph is awesome in it too. She's so good. Dominic Sessa, I'm shocked it's his first movie. I mean, he's obviously a natural. He's
The scene that makes me laugh, or made me laugh so hard, was when he dislocates his shoulder. He's like freaking out. He's in the back seat. What are you gonna do? Literally wash your hands off me? Ah, no, it's a metaphor.
I like when he's getting his shoulder popped back in, and it just zooms in on Giamatti's face, and he's like, "Oh God!"
Yeah,
the whole thing. I mean, it's just and I love the. I mean, it's shot on location, and they got a snowstorm. I read that. They luckily got a snowstorm and didn't have to fake anything, and got to really like pull in the vibe, which it looked awesome. I mean, I loved the
beautiful,
locations it was shot. The scenes in Boston were awesome.
Yep.
It was just directed well. It was performed well. It's a feel good story. It makes you think. I love the subtlety. You mentioned the depression medication. I love that they didn't revisit that. I love that they didn't have to have that conversation. And they didn't have to.
It's just there.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there was a moment where Tully's questioning him about his sexuality, whether or not he's had sex before or something like that, and he gives a response, but they never revisit it. They don't need to like prove one way or the other. Yeah, they don't need to like tell you whether he was right or wrong or anything. It's just they do what the way they talk, their dialogue, and the way it's shot and said just speaks volumes, and you know everything you need to know. Yeah. And you might know everything you need to know. I think it's just it's really what I mean. It's definitely a must see for me.
Well, the reason Mr. Hunnam is such a hard teacher is because of what happened to him. He got accused of cheating, and then you slowly start to realize why he's been so hard on these students and why he thinks so little of them. And he's kind of prejudiced against these people. And he's taken out his frustrations on them. But then once he meets Dominic Sessa and realizes it's more complicated, and people are complicated, and situations are complicated, they're not always the same. People are not all the same. People are not a monolith. And I think this movie beautifully captures that. There's complexity amongst each individual, and the stuff is material, and the direction is confident in itself to, like those things you were talking about. It doesn't necessarily feel the weight to like bash you over the head with all this stuff and have these direct one-on-one conversations telling the audience how to feel about it or what's going on. It lets you read it yourself. It trusts itself. And that's what is a great movie. That's what makes a great movie, is when something that's confident in itself and trusts itself and trusts its audience. It's a wonderful movie. And this is a Christmas movie.
So I was gonna say, do you think is this a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Is this like one of your in your rotation every year now?
I've seen it once, but yeah, it'll be there.
It's gonna be, so this is like when you talk about Christmas movies, this is gonna be like something okay. Me too, I think. I think It's also it's so awesome to get a new one in the rotation.
Yeah.
To get a new, because it's so rare that a new one comes out that's great, and then and that you can recommend to people. It's very exciting. I'm a must see. I mean obviously
this is a must see for me too.
If I'm going out of 100, I put it at 90 out of 100 when I graded it.
It's like a 98 for me.
Yeah,
really high.
It's a really good movie. Godzilla -1.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, so like we talked about it a little bit last week in terms of like my thoughts on like Godzilla movies. So like the one that came out in like 98, I watched it as a kid, loved it as a kid. As an adult, it's different. Like I'm watching it with more critical eyes, and this movie is not very good. Although I have a soft spot for it, it's not very good.
Right.
Um, the 2014 Godzilla, I think, is pretty good. Like I really enjoy it. I enjoyed that they just the sheer size of Godzilla. I do think it was a mistake from a scripting standpoint to pull away from the Bryan Cranston character. But overall, I really enjoyed that movie quite a bit. But then the franchise started to become just more like cotton candy esque, like Kong Skull Island. Really enjoyed it. It's a fun adventure movie, but it's not really like this deep movie. It's a fun movie, and that's what it was going for, and it was successful in that. Godzilla King of the Monsters is even like less than God Kong Skull Island. Like it is a
Mhm.
B movie. It's a really enjoyable movie, but it's also really stupid.
Right.
And then you get Kong. Do what?
I'm just laughing at what you said. I'm
No,
saying, right.
but then you get like was it Godzilla versus Kong, which outside of their fights is bad. It's a bad movie. Godzilla minus one, I knew very little about going into it. You know, I've only seen a handful of Godzilla movies. I might have seen the original when I was a really little kid. Don't really remember much of it. Going into this movie, you hear all these good reviews. You're thinking, okay, this is just like people overselling it. This is going to be like Pacific Rim all over again, where people just are overselling it, and I end up walking away going, it's fun, but I could not have been more wrong. Dude, dude, this just ruined every other Godzilla movie, like for me. I haven't seen any more of them, but you go into movies, and what makes like the big spectacle movies great is when they give you great characters that are complex and deep, and it explores themes that are equally complex and deep. Uh, Godzilla minus one does that and also delivers on the Godzilla. Godzilla feels like a monster in this and is horrifying. When he's on screen, I'm not cheering. I am like, oh my God, all the destruction, all the harm it is causing these people. It's awful. And obviously, Godzilla is what he comes from is it's the nuclear fear after what happened. That's kind of what he was born out of. And in this movie, they really capitalize on this. This movie follows a kamikaze pilot who didn't follow through. And he lives with regret and shame, feeling like he's a coward because he shamed his country. And, there's an early attack on an island with Godzilla. He's much smaller, and he just completely destroys this post, and he gets blamed for it. The only mechanic that lived, blames him for it, and he blames himself. And he finally starts to get his life on track, and then Godzilla comes back. And what happens with that is it follows a story that is as equally entertaining as it is powerful and emotionally moving, and ultimately is a movie about. And that's always what I love is getting down to ultimately what is a movie about? What is this about? And it is about fighting for the will to live. And it's about the fight to live. And I think that's a very powerful theme. And this movie got really emotional for me in a lot of parts, man. A lot of parts. I was not expecting this, and I am so delighted that this is another movie that is going to be on my top 10 list, probably pushing top 5. This is a must see. This is excellent. This is the best Godzilla movie I've seen. Granted, not a big sample size, but there's a reason this is 97, 98 something percent on Rotten Tomatoes. This movie is absolutely fantastic, and I cannot recommend it enough.
I agree 100% with everything you're saying. I this movie was awesome.
So
I
good.
kept hearing a guy, Tyler, a guy that my wife works with, likes watching a bunch of movies and occasionally will ask what I've been watching and what I've seen and like maybe throw a recommendation out. And he threw this out. I'd never heard of it, and I never heard of it. And I was like, is that the? I knew it came. It was the same week. First of all, the Godzilla show's out. The Godzilla trailer dropped for the other universe, and then Godzilla minus one's out. And it's like,
Godzilla's the king, man.
yeah, what is happening? So like when he asked about it, Jess texted me and I was like, is that like part of the Kong universe? Is that one? And they're like, no, it's a different one. It's in Japanese. It's subbed. It's like,
Carly
okay.
thought
And
the
like,
exact
but
same thing. She was like, "You're going?
and it's like,
Didn't you just see that trailer?" I was like, "No, it's different."
yeah. And it's like, are you, I don't know. It's like, I mean, I'm sure it's pretty good, but like, this one's got to like fit in my schedule type of thing. But it just kept getting good reviews. People kept liking it. It's like, all right. I don't know anybody attached to this movie at all. Not one name. I can't even pronounce a name. It's fantastic. I mean, it's visually shot in this super cool way too. The camera angles are creative, and they like you said. I mean, they create a monster, like scary as hell. Godzilla. I mean, he is a menace, and he is tough to deal with. And it's paced so well. They get right into it. There's no. It's almost paced too quickly. Like it almost like goes. I mean, you get into it so fast, and they don't make you wait around for anything boring. Anything in between is oozing with heart, oozing with feeling. You are committed. You are attached to these characters, which never happens. I mean, that
No, in these
it
movies,
is so
it
hard for
never
that to
happens.
happen. I mean, you watch any. I mean, like the Jurassic World. I haven't been attached to any characters like I've been to these. I was so invested in these characters, and I loved her. I mean, I was got kind of emotional in a certain spots. Also, $15 million budget.
That's insane. Granted,
15.
yeah, there's been
I mean,
some
not a lot of
dispute.
star power and stuff, but
There's been some dispute, and there are like one shot of like tanks that was wonky, but how they shoot Godzilla, where it is clearly to me to be like an homage of Jaws in some parts, but then also an homage to the original like
original.
man in the suit look, but looks like modern, and how he moves very slow and methodical, and the atomic breath.
Oh, it was awesome. Awesome.
Dude, so cool. But also like it's cool, but it's like devastating. And you're like, I don't want this to happen. Like, because they make you care about these people that's being harmed. And that's a lot of the thing, a lot of the it's what a lot of these movies are missing in aspects. And man, did they get it right. And the director of this movie, I think I saw something. He would love to direct Star Wars. Yeah, please, please, sir,
That's cool. That's
please.
cool.
Yeah, I'm all
Yeah, the
for it.
action was awesome. It was terrifying. It felt huge. It felt way bigger than it was. The heart, the connection to the characters, just great. The little girl,
Oh,
and
dude,
she nailed it.
dude.
I mean, it made me emotional. Times. Also, the scientist guy, I don't remember their names, but the huge head of hair, beautiful head of hair.
Oh, that
He
hair
had,
was magnificent, man.
I mean, he was one of the coolest looking guys I've ever seen. Yeah, the whole thing, and then like kind of the we're into spoilers now. Like the kamikaze at the end, the twist of him living was, I mean, like somehow they made that gut punch. I mean, obviously there's a gut punch that he followed through with his kamikaze mission was a gut
Mhm.
punch and it was emotional, and they made you feel
As soon
this
I
weird way.
I will say, as soon as it cuts away from the mechanic, there's
Mhm.
also this. I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen, but I'm still like, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, but it's just leading up to it and stuff, they make you feel this odd balance of being excited or proud of him for doing what he did, and like you feel heart and you feel like it was the right move, even though it makes you sad, and you just you have a special feeling in your heart, and then you realize he lived, and it just switches up. You're like, nope, that's what I wanted, and I'm happy about that. Like it somehow it makes you feel both things
How,
simultaneously, and you get to end in a happy way, which is just
how about
great.
with his what's the name of the character?
That's tough. I don't know. That's gonna
It's
be.
but
I've got
the
it pulled up
girl
here.
that he takes in with
Noriko.
the kid, yeah,
Yeah,
that he takes in with the
Noriko.
kid, yeah. When she comes back, when you realize that she's alive, dude, I started crying happy tears.
Shikishima.
That made, that made me
That's what,
so happy.
yeah. It's performed really well too. It's just good. I mean, it was just really good. I mean, it was definitely the best Godzilla movie I've seen. I mean,
It's not
and that's not saying a
close
whole lot for
for
me,
me.
but
Yeah,
I mean, it was one of the best monster movies I've seen.
yeah.
Maybe the best. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. I'm not thinking of something. I mean, it was very good. It was one of my favorites of the year. I have it as a must see.
Yeah,
If
it's
I'm
a
going out
must
of
say
100,
for
I mean,
me.
I'm going high. I mean, I'm at a 94 out of 100. I really it it was a surprise. It was a
It would it
surprise.
would
I
it would it would be like that 96, 97, 98, somewhere in there for me. Like I loved this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love this guy, this director to start. I mean, these actors too. I mean,
They were phenomenal.
they were so charming, and like it's such an interesting relationship with a character when you don't speak their language and it's just different than you're used to. And for and I don't know if it's a barrier. I mean, obviously it's a barrier. I know people have strong opinions of dubbed versus subbed, and how you can't get the heart to come through, and maybe that's what it is. I mean, maybe this was a great example of you really got to see their chops come through when it was their actual voice and you just had to read it. But still, you would think there'd be a barrier there that keeps you from getting overly connected due to the language barrier. You know what I mean? And it's just not there. I mean, you're I bought in so quickly, so quickly. It's that island scene, and I mean, first of all, getting right to business with Godzilla on that island was a big move. That just was like, okay, and it was just a great action scene then too, and it had some heart. I mean, very, very, very good.
The creepy deep sea fish popping up. Yeah.
I saw Godzilla. Why is it called -1? Do you know?
If I had to guess, after the bomb, they went from nothing and then had something, but then when Godzilla came back, it was -1.
Got it. Got it.
So they started back at 1 and went back to 0. I don't know. That would just be a guess. They don't ever really explain it in the movie. If someone has a better explanation, please let us know. That would be my only guess.
Yeah. Also, the way they depicted Japan and like how they placed it after the war, that was very. That was a nice choice. They just added like this extra layer of despair and adversity that was. I don't like anime. I'm not an anime guy at all, but there's an anime called Graveyard of the Fireflies that is based in Japanese World War II, and this is completely random. It just they obviously reminded me of each other, and it's my favorite anime if I have to pick one. But
Cal's
they just
Moving
reminded me of
Castle is
one of
mine.
them. Yeah, but I saw Godzilla and Saltburn in the theater on the same day, a double feature. So that
It's a
like
great
that, I
double
mean, a
feature.
hell of a move day for me. I mean, I was stoked by the end of it.
It's a great double feature.
This has been fun, man. I think we've watched a lot of good stuff. Like, I mean, you got anything else to add?
Nah, man, I'm all tapped out. I'm looking forward to what we got in store for our audience the next 2 weeks. Something special.
We're not fucking leaving. Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, that does it for this week. Thank you all again so much for listening. If you're hearing this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thanks for watching. If you're catching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe for more movie talking each week. Let us know below, what did you think of Godzilla -1? What did you think of the Holdovers? What Christmas movies are you watching? Let us know. But with that said, this has been Ben and Walker, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.